The Chicago Cubs take another L and lose another series. But listen, there's a bright side to all of this. We got to talk about it. Chicago Cub fans, what's up? It's your boy Mike Jones back again with another episode of Chicago Cubs Central. And hey, listen, I want to take the second to thank each and every last one of you that are tuning into this episode, whether you're viewing on X, whether you're viewing on Spotify, whether you're viewing on Apple, or whether you're viewing this right on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time, hey, what's going on? Join the C3 fam, the Chicago Cubs Central family. All you have to do to be able to do that is make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this network. And hey, do me a favor. If you want the Chicago Cubs to win the Central Division, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. I wish you guys the best on the beginning of this week. It is a shortened week for everybody because everybody is out Friday for the 4th of July. The Chicago Cubs will be working, but they'll be playing against those St. Louis Cardinals on that date. However, all of us will be off and able to enjoy that 4th of July weekend. With that being said, the Chicago Cubs did go ahead and lose another game to the Houston Astros. I'm going to be quite honest with you all, and this is just me speaking openly and freely. I did not expect the Chicago Cubs to win Sunday's game. I would have been more upset had the Chicago Cubs lost Saturday's game. Sunday's game, I knew was going to be tough. I mean, Framber Valdez was tossed 6 shutout innings and was amazing. The Astros only scored 2. They literally the only run scored in the game was the Astros was Jose Altuve hitting a 2-run home run shot, and literally it's because J-Mo left a slider right across the heart of the mound. And I mean, outside of that, these two still might be playing right now. Because I mean, it just, like I said, the game was just so evenly matched. And to be quite honest with you, it was defense all along the way. The Chicago Cubs defense looked amazing in this game, but I also knew that the offense would struggle against a pitcher the likes of a Framber Valdez. This guy literally has a record of 9-4, a 2.72 ERA, 108 strikeouts with a 1.13 whip. And for me, like I said, I just knew Sunday's game was going to be tough. I thought they might have had a chance Friday, but like I said, I also knew that I'm sorry, not Colin Ray, but also knew that Cade Horton was kind of due for a little bit of struggling. But Saturday's game was the game I circled as, okay, you need to get this one. You need to get Saturday's game for a couple of reasons, because the Chicago Cubs have not looked particularly well on national TV games. Chicago Cubs have a big national weekend coming up for 4th of July weekend. That Cardinals game that they will play will actually be on Apple TV Plus. And then that Sunday, they're on Sunday Night Baseball for that game at 5:10. So the Chicago Cubs definitely need to have a good showing. Actually, this whole week for the Chicago Cubs is very important because Tuesday's game is on TBS, Turner Broadcasting Station, and then Wednesday's game is on ESPN Wednesday night. And then, of course, Friday is Apple TV Plus. Thursday is MLB Network against the Guardians. Saturday is the only game that's going to be on the Marquee Network. Saturday and Thursday are the only games that'll be on the Marquee Network. Every other game for the next coming week will be on national television. So the Chicago Cubs started that off by looking good, very good, in a win against the Houston Astros, where they end up blowing the Astros out. And like I said, I just knew Sunday would be tough. I knew Sunday would be a tough game. And again, his pitches, he's another left-handed pitcher, Framber, and his pitches are eerily deceptive. So, like I said, it was going to be tough. It was going to be tough. And that brings me to one of the points for the Chicago Cubs. Just statistically, I have noticed that the Chicago Cubs really struggle with pitches that are with pitchers that pitch left-handed pitchers. They just, like I said, they've only won, I think, 2 or 3 games against left-handed pitchers this year. They have struggled mightily with the left-handed pitchers that come to mind, like Jesus Luzardo pitching for the Phillies. Obviously, like I said, Framber, guys like that. The Chicago Cubs have struggled mightily against pitchers like this. And so when you look at it like that, you look at the fact that that Suzuki and Tucker a lot of times have not been able to get the big hit, and then Ian Happ and PCA have also struggled against left-handed hitters. That front top part of the lineup really has struggled. So you kind of wonder, should the Chicago Cubs in the trade in the trade market go look to find somebody that has some slug against left-handed pitchers? Because again, like I said, the Chicago Cubs have to figure some of these things out. You're going to, if you're really prepping for a playoff push, if you're really prepping for a elongated playoff run, you got to be able to go into free agency and you got to go pinpoint certain things and hit every single spot that you need to hit and check those things off. Now, the Chicago Cubs so far, like I said, for the month of March, they went 3-4 in the month of March. They went 15-9 in the month of April. In the month of May, they went 18-9. And then in the month of June, they went 13-13, 49-35, a .583 winning percentage. First place in the NL Central, second place in the National League as a whole. Not a lot bad you could say about the Chicago Cubs throughout the first half of the season. Again, we will do a full deep dive into the the first half of the season, probably somewhere around All-Star break. Even though, like I said, All-Star break, we would technically say ends the first half of the season or concludes the first half of the season. But Chicago Cubs, literally, like I said, have done a very good job, and they have some easier games, some easier matchups coming here really soon. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm also looking forward and betting on the fact that the Brewers have played some really bad teams, as did the Chicago Cubs in the month of April. I thought the month of April for Chicago was fairly easy. They played a lot of bad teams in the month of April. May got a little bit tougher and whatnot. Actually, I'm sorry. May they played the easier teams. I was shocked at their April record. The April record where I thought they really would struggle is where we kind of started seeing like, okay, this team might actually be for real. And then of course, like I said, May May I felt like they played a lot easier teams. And then you look at June, and June they broke even. Like I said, the Chicago Cubs are going to see some easier scheduling at the beginning of July, heading into the All-Star break. And again, like I said, they're going to play the Twins. They're going to play they're going to play the Cleveland Guardians. They're going to play teams like this that they should be able to take advantage of and get some wins over. They will see the Pirates again. Things like that. So you're looking at this and you're saying to yourself, you got some advantages. You might want to go ahead and get a couple sweeps in there. My thought process is the Chicago Cubs ought to look to get a couple of sweeps, definitely win majority of the series heading into the All-Star break, in which we can look into that. So the Cubs will do Guardians, Cardinals, the Twins. Then they got the Yankees coming to town, who the Cubs have a better record than the Yankees right now. And then the Red Sox after that. And then after the Red Sox, they'll play the Royals, who they have a better record than. Then they'll play the White Sox, and then they'll play the Brewers to end the month of July. So somewhere along those lines there, they will break for the All-Star break. And so, like I said, it looks like after they finish with the Yankees, then it's the All-Star break. Then after the All-Star break, they pick things back up, and the Red Sox will come to town. That's when you really see trade stuff really heat up then. And then they got the Royals after that. Then they got the White Sox after that. Then they finish off with the Brewers. So the Chicago Cubs, literally in the month of July, should tear through this month. You're not going to win every game. You're not going to win every game. You understand that. But they should tear through the month of July. You should be getting Miguel Amaya back. You should be adding on pitching. And you might even add on another third baseman. The Chicago Cubs should look to really do some damage in the month of July. It's going to be tough against those Yankees, but the Yankees have been struggling too. The Red Sox have been struggling. The Kansas City Royals. I love Bobby Witt Jr. Let me just tell y'all, Bobby Witt Jr. to me is the man. That's another point. And I mean, the toughest matchup out of all of these, to me, that I'm looking at should be the Brewers. And even by then, the Brewers might have come back down to earth a little bit too and went on a little bit of a losing streak, because I feel like the Brewers have been very, very lucky as of late. So to me, you look at the Brewers and I'm looking at them like, man, the Cubs very well have a chance to, really, really do some damage against the Brewers also. Again, it's just up to the Cubs and what they decide to do and how they do this. It's really up to them and what they decide to do with the trades and everything like that, which that'll be tomorrow's episode. We're going to cover talking about trades and talking about the severity of what the Chicago Cubs need to do at the trade deadline. And yeah, so like I said, but for right now, that's my episode for today. The next 3 games are up against who? They are up against the Cleveland Guardians, which we'll cover that tomorrow. Cleveland Guardians boasting a 40-42 record after getting dominated all weekend by the St. Louis Cardinals. So yeah, the matchup will start on Tuesday. And big announcement, Tuesday night, we're going to do another live watch-along episode. This one will be featured on playback. I don't think anybody's going to bump me off this time, so we should be featured on playback as well as on X, as well as on YouTube. So please, please, please plan to join in with me on the watch-along for the Chicago Cubs versus the Cleveland Guardians game. I appreciate each and every last one of you. Mark your time for that. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, go Cubs, go. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.